Welcome.
Welcome to the Too Close for Comfort cast.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's a better name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's Too Close for Podcast and Too Close for Comfort cast. We're both. So don't think about starting your own side cast. We've taken both of those names.
Yeah, we've already secured the names on the internet. We own .com, .net, and
.org.
No, you can't own. Can you own .org?
.tv.
There you go. Which it's pretty obvious that we're lying about all that, so they're going to steal it now.
So this is Too Close for Podcast. I'm Marty Catola.
I'm Gene Mott.
And we're here analyzing your favorite sitcom from the early 80s. Of course it's your favorite. You don't tell people in public that it's your favorite, but secretly at home you're watching this over and over again. Too Close for Comfort. Tonight is episode 6 from season 1. First aired on December 9th, 1980. This one's called Tenants, Anyone. Not Tennis, Anyone, but Tenants, Anyone.
Clever. So, we start out episode 6. Sarah's cleaning up after what appears to be a pretty wild party. She's dusting, isn't she? She's cleaning out the ashtray.
Yeah, picking up bags of stuff or whatever it is.
Jackie comes out, and she's looking bad. She's got a hangover and a headache, or at least a headache. I'm assuming they go hand in hand.
The bicarbonate's not working.
And Sarah's dusting too loud, arranging the papers. That's really working her last nerve. So she asks, what was in that drink, right? What was in the punch or whatever the hell? And Sarah tells her it was the usual. It was champagne and the usual, which consists of vodka, sangria, rum, cooking sherry, and maple syrup.
Wow.
Okay, so somebody knocks at the door. Sarah answers it. It's Mrs. Rafkin.
Yeah, first appearance.
Anyway, the guy who rented the apartment, Neville Rafkin. Neville Rafkin's sister has shown up because she's been in Europe for several months while he died. She didn't know anything about this. Came back to claim all her brother's worldly goods. And here's where we find out that Rafkin, Neville, used to wear his sister's clothes starting at 8 with a training bra and continuing right up to the prom dress. And I'm assuming at some point, they stopped living with one another. Anyway, so Rafkin, she wants all the stuff by Tuesday. She's going to be over there Tuesday with a moving crew, and she's taking all the stuff.
It's all garbage.
It's all trash and garbage.
So then the girls run upstairs.
They're freaking out because they want that furniture. Well, how are they going to live without furniture? Mr. Rush, Henry, he's pretty sure he can charm this old lady. Rush goes downstairs. Rafkin shows up, and she wants the furniture.
Mildred Rafkin, not Neville Rafkin.
Not Neville.
But he thinks it was Neville because
they look alike.
Yeah.
She's a dead ringer for her brother.
And she said, "Oh, it's probably because I'm wearing his dress."
Even though she was wearing an overcoat over that dress. So as he tries to charm her down, he says, "How much? How much for the furniture?" And she tells him $700.
And then the movers show up, our other guest stars.
And then Rushy shrewd, he goes, $250. And then he goes, and then she's not budging. So he moves up to $275, all the way to $300. And then he insults her in some way. And then she's like, $800. And then he goes, oh.
Oh, 700?
No, it was 800.
I could have sworn that it was a Either way, that's a genuine Henry stammer right there.
So he tells her, take all this,
take
it
all
away.
out of here.
Get out of here.
And that's
Take
the
this
end of
stuff.
Act 1.
That is Act 1, my friend. Oh, so now the apartment is barren, empty, except for one houseplant, How would you describe that plant?
Oh, there's a plant.
There's like a plant it's like about 3 feet tall or something like that.
There's some vinyl.
There's the vinyl, the stereo, the record player stereo. Henry and Muriel come downstairs and they have 2 folding chairs and a bridge table and a vase or a vase with a flower in it. The girls are just like flipping out because they come home from school and work and they're shocked to see the apartment in this because they have a dinner party coming up on Saturday with 10 guests.
A lot of parties.
They're really making the most of this apartment, their freedom they've got. So they have 10 people coming over and they have to share, that's 5 people per chair. And that's not going to work for these girls.
It reminds me of Laverne and Shirley when their apartment's empty.
The girls are freaking out because there's no furniture. They're not going to pay the same rent. They say, how much money did you offer Rafkin for the furniture? Give us that money. We'll get our own furniture, and we make payments on the rest. Right?
Use it as a down payment, yeah.
And he's having none of that. And they want him to. He's like, well, you can't afford to pay the rent then. They not only want new stuff, but they want him to lower the rent.
They want him to lower the rent.
Because now they're providing their own furniture.
Which leads to the whole, you promised us.
So Henry tells them, move back upstairs if you don't like it. Right? Because that's the way it is. So they say, screw you. We'll get our own apartment. We find Muriel's in the bedroom in the middle of the afternoon, apparently. She's come home from work. Henry discovers her because he never leaves the place because that's where he does his work. And he's wearing his what?
Oh, he's wearing the UCLA sweater for 2 episodes in a row. That's very rare that one of these college sweaters would be in 2 episodes, let alone 2 episodes in a row. But this is still the beginning of season 1.
So far, these are the only 2 sweaters he's worn, isn't it? Or do we have a 3rd sweater?
Well, I think you are correct, sir. It's this one and the University of Michigan sweater from the very first episode.
Okay, I'd like to think I'm right, but I don't think I am.
Yeah,
right.
I think you are right, yeah. According to my notes, yeah.
Oh, so Henry assures her, oh, the kids will be back. They can't afford their own place. They can't do this. They don't have their act together. They'll be crawling back to us. She'll be knocking on the door tomorrow morning, wanting orange juice, basically. Right? As we've seen in past episodes, that Sarah loves to mooch the orange juice. So then the girls show up, and they're worn out because they've been out looking for apartments all day, expensive apartments that they can't afford. But luckily, they found a place, and they're going to move out. They're going to be moving in on Saturday. The girls they're paying $175 a month rent, way cheaper for a furnished apartment.
Oh, so this is the episode where they reveal that number. You said that you thought at some point in the show it was revealed how much rent they were paying. So they're paying $175.
That's for the new place, but the old place I was pretty sure
was $200.
Well, yeah, maybe it was 200 or it was 300.
Anyways, the girls are always worn out from running around doing stuff. Have you noticed that?
So they're moving into Old Town across the bridge, which is apparently a high crime area. And we find out they got a sublet. That's how they were able to get it so cheap.
Why don't they just move in with Monroe and his wacky roommate, and they can throw each other out the window all night?
Well, for whatever reason, Monroe's not even around this episode. I bet he would have loved to help.
He knew better than to show up this week.
You know how it is when people are moving, right? You don't necessarily want to answer that phone call, right? For a piece of pizza? I'm going to your house for a piece of pizza and beer, and I might get a hernia.
Monroe was walking out in front of the house, and he saw those movers come out with the couch, and he's like, I'm not even going in there.
He turned right around, got back on that bus, Got the hell out of there, dude. He's like, I'm not going to. I don't want anything to do with this. They don't need me this week. I can find something to do. I'll go play on the street, make some money. Try not to get arrested. Anyway, so the guy's in jail. He's got it's a sublease, a 3-year lease. The guy had a 3-year lease, and he's doing 7 years in jail. So Henry's freaking out, and Sarah tells him it's a white collar crime. Henry asks if he killed a priest, and they tell him it's something to do with the stock market. And then the girls are like, screw this, we're going to go pack, right? We're doing this. This is happening. And Henry and Muriel are freaking out because the girls are gone now. They, it's the first step to letting go of the girls. And then they finally just accept that it's in God's hands now.
That's right.
And they let the girls go. Act 2. Finito.
There we go. And we come back from the commercial. They're in Old Town, right?
Sirens are blaring outside. Sarah's freaking out because that's like the 10th time that's happened today.
Oh, that means crime's down.
And then if there's a laugh track, that's where the laughs would have come in. Was there a laugh track? I don't remember.
Sometimes they'll use a laugh track and sometimes they'll use an audience.
So there's a knock on the door. So they turn on their tape-recorded dog, and Sarah grabs a bat, and it's their parents, but they don't believe them because they know that's the trick, right? That's how they get in your apartment. And once you're in, God knows what happens to you at that point. But these girls aren't taking any chances. But then they finally realize, okay, it's our parents, and so they walk in, and they appear to have a bag of food.
But what's in that bag is not groceries, even though it's one of the infamous grocery bag props. It's a hubcap.
You'd think they'd bring food. When you first got your own place, or when you were living on your own, did your mom come over with some food?
Oh, with a hubcap and some spray paint and whatever else was on that table.
Yeah, they had some weird stuff going on, man. They had some eggs.
And some
They
eggs.
did have some eggs. Where's the refrigerator? I'm not sure if they had one. Well, you would think maybe it did. These girls they're quickly going to be, bad things are going to happen. So they got their bag of food with no hubcaps. And the girls are trying to tell, hey, everything's cool. You want some coffee? And then they go to fill up the coffee, and the water it already looks like it is coffee.
That's convenient.
That is convenient. Another knock on the door.
A lot of door knocking in this episode. Who is it this time? It's the dealer.
This guy, he's come to make the drop, the score. But he needs the bread. Because if you ain't got the bread, you can't make the score. Right? You know that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
What bread? The gluten-free bread?
Oh, shit. Do they sell gluten-free bread? They must, right? I've never seen it. So then he says, hey, do you want to open an account? Because this guy, he really wants to make the drop. But he's going to need the bread, obviously. But maybe if you get an account, he could front it to you. I think that's what he was implying.
Yeah.
So it turns out that he's the owner, and maybe he's the bookie who lives across the hall, because he lives across the hall as well.
The bookies with the telephones.
Yeah, they live on a pretty happening level of the apartment complex. So then cut. Then we find the girls in the hallway with Henry, and they got the bag of hubcaps with them, and they want to come home. And it turns out Henry bought the furniture back.
Yeah, in a shot that I could have sworn was probably filmed out of sequence.
Well, it must be, because everything was exactly where it was. And there was a lot of crap on those shelves. I can't see him going to all the trouble to put it all back or even know exactly where it was, right?
After it'd been gone for a while,
No,
too.
like it's not even his apartment.
Well, he took pictures of everything.
Well, you would think that would be a good idea.
He consulted the continuity director.
So originally he offered her $400 for the furniture. But then somebody was on the phone while he was there, offered $500. So he just immediately jumped to $550. And then Miss Rafkin, what's her name?
Mildred Rafkin.
Took the $550. Boom. End of story. Well, that's episode 6 in a pretty big nutshell.
But if Muriel was on the phone, which how does that even make sense?
Because he was there in person and she was at home trying to get the furniture on her own. They were each doing it behind the other one's back because they didn't want to admit that they were doing this. They were just going to do it as a surprise.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. All right, now the breakdown.
We had a guest star, the first appearance of Mildred Rafkin on this episode. And our other guest stars were the Movers, who didn't say anything, I don't think, and the Dealer, as he was credited in the end credits. As we mentioned, Henry's sweater was the UCLA sweater again, which is pretty strange. Monroe, notably absent, as he will be again next week. They haven't quite figured out how to put him in the show all the way yet. 2 instances of Henry pointing at someone, as well as 2 stammering instances.
Full-on stammers.
Yeah. We see 2 grocery bag props, which may be the same bag.
I'm assuming it's the same bag.
One was in the girl's new place, and one at the end of the episode, both containing a hubcap.
One hubcap, right?
Yeah.
Do you think all 4 of the hubcaps were in that bag?
No, I think it was just one hubcap.
It's just like trying to assume that they put $100,000 of small bills that they got from a supermarket.
Yeah. It's just like the guacamole that's mayonnaise and
into the Kleenex box.
There's no couch flip in this episode, but the couch is part of the storyline.
There's an ashtray resting on the couch at one point. It's pretty cool.
As far as transvestite storyline goes, Mildred gives the origin of Neville Rafkin. As far as the intro goes, it's the same as 105. They didn't change anything. We do have an early incarnation of the one-note music cue. When they switch from scene to scene, they'll play the little jingles, and there's one of them that ends with one single note. Bizarre, odd happenings, quite a few. There was an opening shot on a pile of food. I don't think there's another episode that starts with a shot on a pile of food. At one point, move to Europe is mentioned. It's like Jackie moving.
Eventually, Jackie.
You know.
But she did move to Europe later on, right?
And so they're laying the ground for that really early on here. And of course, perhaps the most bizarre thing of all was the hubcap gift. So what did we learn? We learned it has tempo, it has pulse. Somebody said that at one point in this episode. I think it might have had something to do with getting the bread and the drop and all that. But what did I learn? I learned that Mildred Rafkin is probably the funniest character on the show. And as you were mentioning, there is no real reason for her to come back, but I think they realized, well, she's funny, so we'll have to work this in somehow. And I'm going to give that one a 4 on the scale of 1 to 5.
Nice.
And we'll be back next week for episode 7, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? Wolf with an E at the end of it. Well, what's that one about? Sarah tries to work at the bank, then she dates her boss, and then things get weird.
Then things get weird.
We'll see you next week.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Create custom playlists. Rate and review my show on Stitcher. and over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.